Hey, best friends.
Welcome to the Bestie Advice Podcast. Where we discuss all things relationships. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Bestie Advice with your hosts, Karan Hayes and Dr. Irene Abrams. Hey,
Hey, everybody.
And today we have a very, very special guest on our episode and on our podcast, none other than Mrs. Shana Batiste.
Hey, everybody.
And on today, we just want to share with you all in regards to being mentally healthy and how that may or may not affect your relationship. So, Mrs. Shana Batiste, she is a counselor and she's also a business consultant. And we want to just pull on her and dig in with asking her questions in regard to being, I say mentally sane, but she's going to correct me if I'm wrong with saying that. But I feel you got to be mentally sane in order to have any type of good relationship, whether it's a relationship with someone of the opposite sex or with some of your girlfriends or some of your guy friends, whomever it may be, even your own siblings, your parents, whomever. You have to be mentally healthy. So we just want to open it up as far as with you. I want to call you Dr. Shana so bad, but we're going to open it up.
That's coming. That's you prophesying.
Don't start nothing, Lady K.
Right. So I keep stopping like. So we want to open it up. With Minister Shana, okay, I'm because I'm like I gotta put a title on it with Minister Shana, as far as for her to talk about the name of her business and just give a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. I was going to say Lady K, but Lady K, because you're my Lady K, my first lady, and Dr. Irene for just inviting me to this platform. I definitely appreciate it. And I feel like this is so important and needed. I think that with everything that's going on, the many different hats we wear, pandemic, just our family still trying to keep afloat of just regular everyday life. I feel like we don't really admire or take time to really press into relationships and how important they are. I know one term that you used was mentally sane, but we'll change sane to stable, right? Balanced, right? Because we all have those moments where we just don't feel ourselves. We may not, we just may not be feeling, we may be a little icky.
Yeah.
And then those some that have a chemical imbalance where they really cannot control, regulate that on their own, and they do sometimes need medication and psychotherapy and so forth. So that's more of the clinical from that. But a little bit about myself. I am a counselor at trade. I operate as a business consultant, and this season, the gift God has given me, wherever it may show up, is to be able to instill hope in individuals, other people. And so it shows up because I'm able to sit down with other therapists, counselors, and social workers, and just service providers that constantly give out, able to help them create businesses so that they're not burnt out at the risk of their sanity, but they're able to bridge and build like that mental sanity with operations. And how does that look in the season that they may be in? So that's what I have been doing. I definitely help individuals. I speak about mental wellness. I advocate about mental wellness. I talk to individuals, families. What does that look like? Are they in need of a mentor in this season, a therapist in this season, a psychiatrist in this season? I talk to them about, petitions and so forth, just giving them that background about mental health and what that means and the necessities so that they can feel supported, and then being that bridge to get from one place to another. So that's a little bit about what I professional, I guess, what I do.
I love that. I mean,
Thank you.
We need people in your industry to really begin to help us come to terms with our mental health. And so I thank you for all the work that you're doing in your industry, because it's so needed, especially, post pandemic. People need a lot of therapy and counseling. It's not over. I keep hearing little rumblings of another surge coming.
Right.
And so I really salute you in everything that you're doing. And I have some questions because, as you know, Lady K, like our whole podcast is around friendships and relationships, whether that's marriage or, you know, your relationship with your mom, your brother, your sister, any type of relationship. You know, we want to be there to dispel any myths, help you get through it, tell our experience, what our story is. And so, you know, having the counselor on the line, I really want to get into some good mental health things for our listeners out there. And so I want to ask, how do you keep yourself mentally healthy in order to be a good friend?
Yeah, so I have to do a few different things. I call it like a wraparound. One is I have to stay physically active. My goal is to be work out at least 30 minutes a day for at least 2 to 3 days out the week. That really helps me kind of get those endorphins going, and feel better, I'm able to sleep better at night. Another thing is having true friends, right? Friends around who knows my personality, my character. When they see that I'm not in a space that I should be in, they can pull on me, kind of say, hey, it's time to kind of walk away from work, or it's time to just go out and have a good time, let your hair down. That's something that literally I put on my calendar where it's a me day. That's something I do. I have to have me time. I don't care if it's 2 hours, 4 hours a day. I don't care if it's drinking coffee from Starbucks or just literally sitting in the dark. It's on me. That's my decision, my choice. I honor that, right? And I put it on my calendar. So I'm planning who's going to babysit my daughter, like how I'm going to get there, where I'm going. Is it me time, or am I spending time with my loved ones? I also literally schedule time to be with my friends, literally, because we're so busy.
Very important.
And I need that time to be loved on, like as a giver, a server. You give out so much and you have to have that balance. So I need to be poured and refueled just as I give out as well. So those are like non-negotiables for me. Those are things that I do on a regular basis. You can ask anybody and they'd be like, well, I call it, I'm going outside. I don't care if it's the Starbucks, it's going outside by myself. So those are a few things that I do. I also take time, like prayer. That's something that I do on a regular basis throughout the day, right? Meditation, where I am not just, I'm meditating on the word or on the things that I want from or hope for in the future. I'm thinking, you know, literally centering myself. I am also writing, right? And some people say journaling. I'm not a journaler. I sometimes recommend journaling for individuals, but me, myself, I'm a thought dumper. So whatever the Holy Spirit is putting on me or whatever I'm like, feel like it keeps coming up for me, I'm just taking notes, writing it down in my notebook. As you can see, probably in my background, I have notebooks everywhere, but that's what I do. I have to do that to kind of like get it out. So I'm not, so that it doesn't lay on me. And that's just important, especially if you're a server in the spaces that I am.
No, that's really good. It really prompted me to think of another question about that. You know, we said, how do you keep yourself, you know, mentally healthy in order to be a good friend? But can you talk a little bit about the importance of friendship? And I asked that from the guise of, I've heard people say like they don't need friends, or they don't have any girls that are friends, or you can't trust women, and I don't have any friends. Help us from the guise. How important to your mental health is it to have friends?
It's so important. I think when you hear terms of that, really what that is kind of like defense mechanisms. A lot of that is rooted in trauma, even from childhood, even it can be rooted in exposure and things that you may have gone through in relationships previously. And so we have to really position ourselves to like heal and go through deliverance on a daily basis, because we never want our past to really hold up our future. And I really believe that your circle, your environment, right? That friendship, whether it's lateral, whether it's lateral or vertical, is so important, because you have to have like that accountability, not so much in the season you may be in, but also to propel you forward to where you desire to go. Like that friend knows your heart desires, right? That friend should be someone you trust, that they know you in your rare form, in your bad form, in your good form, and they can remind you of who you are, about your identity, because they know you and they know who you desire to be. So I really do believe it's so important to have friendship. We even see in marriage, friendship in individuals, it adds 10 years of life. Being married is scientifically, we were not created as creatures to be alone. And so we have to have that, that human touch, right? That human communication, that human connection is really important.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Look, somebody that can pull that coattail when you're getting ready to go off.
Man.
When you're getting ready to jump off that cliff, somebody.
Or somebody to tell you, you know, you went off, but it was right. You went wrong, but let's bring it on back. Or somebody who just has your back, right? Sometimes you can feel like you're against the world and you're trying to, I think Dr. Irene talked about this, you know, where you sometimes have to hush, you don't have to prove your case or whatever, but sometimes you do have to, because everybody don't know you, right? And God will go before you, but then there's some people who really know who you are and they can talk about where they have seen you grow from and where they've seen you come from, and they can vouch for you. That's a friend, right? And so I think it's important. It's very important.
Yes.
That's
yes.
good.
No, I'm in agreement as far as you know, with everything as far as that you're saying, Shayna. I do believe that it really is important to have, like, you know, that good friend, that good girlfriend, or, you know, if you're a guy, to have that good guy friend, or whoever, you know, could be of the opposite sex, the opposite sex, or whatever. But you have to be in the right headspace, I believe, in order to maintain that friendship. Like, do you agree, like, that you have to be in the right headspace? Because if you're not, I'm going to use the right word, if you're not mentally stable, then you can be in a relationship today, out of a relationship tomorrow. You blaming it on everybody else. It's them, it's not me, because I'm not mentally stable.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you cannot show up in any relationship if you are not whole, right? And you're not okay yourself. It's like, you know, when you're coming in agreement with someone, it's not their job to fix you, or it's not their job to carry you. Now, there are seasons where we're not able to, you know, but it should be seasonal, right? And that friend should, if they see that this is a long enduring season, now this probably have shifted to something else, and we may need to get like some professional support in here. But you can't show up any, I guess, healthy, like your relationship is no more healthier than how healthy you are.
That's good.
I'll say that.
That's good. That's good. Absolutely.
I like that.
So can we go a little bit deeper as far as into when it talks about self-care? Like, how important is that? Is that something that we should be doing, you know, when we get to it? Is it something we should be doing once a month? Should we be doing that daily? Like, how important is self-care?
Honestly, I think self-care is more important than relationship, right? Because first, it's relationship with yourself. And so if you are not in relationship and good standing with yourself, how can you be committed to another person? If you're constantly promising yourself that you're going to work out this year and then you don't, you're going to save and then you don't. So you have broken promises with yourself, right? So how can you then make commitments and promises with other individuals? So I think self-care is important because it realigns you, it refuels you, and it builds you up to be able to start over again, to get back out, you know? And I think self-care can look different from, you know, from individual to individual. To me, self-care could be drinking a cup of coffee every morning. Another person, self-care could be getting a massage once a month. Another self-care can be traveling quarterly. So I think that it can kind of fall differently, but I think that it's a commitment that you make to yourself to take time out for yourself.
That's good.
And so whatever that looks like for you, it's okay, because that means you're making that commitment to self, to show up for self whenever that time is you're dedicating to do that.
That's good. So it's almost like you have to start with you first, all the way across the board. You have to make sure that you are committed and disciplined with your own self. If you're doing that with yourself, then it'll be a little bit easier to be committed and dedicated and disciplined in a relationship with somebody else.
Absolutely.
I like that.
Man, because we don't want to make codependent relationships, right? That's the last thing we want to foster and do. Like codependent relationship, meaning that my all is wrapped up into someone else, because we're human and we can't meet the need of God and Superman and Superwoman. And so we have to, definitely be dedicated to ourselves first.
Yes. That's good.
You know, so I have a follow-up question to that. How can we guard our mental health? Like, what can we do to make sure that we keep it intact, because with so many things, life throws so many things at us at once.
Yeah.
You know, like you can give us some practical and some spiritual steps to safeguard our own peace of mind, that mental stability. How can we safeguard that?
Yes. One thing I think about is listening to the Holy Spirit, your intuition that God gives you, right? So if something is agitating your spirit, coming up, it makes you feel icky, whether it's a person, whether it's the news, right? That's not by coincidence, right? We have to trust ourselves, right? Goes back to knowing who you are, so that sometimes you have to take times of sabbatical or step away. And even in the Bible, God had to come away to pray, right? To refuel. So when you step away, some people think like, oh, I'm isolating, but isolation is a longer period of time than stepping away. Isolation is not shutting down. You're not isolating yourself from the individuals or crowd or whatever, but you're pulling away for a time frame to refuel, and you'll be back again, right? And nothing really even had to happen. You're not feeling it. It's draining. It's burdensome to you. So you have to shut down spiritually sometimes, and you have to be in tune, right? You have to pray, because sometimes when you have a burden and you may feel like, okay, this is disturbing my mental health, my mental sanity. Sometimes you have to make discern, like, is this an assignment, right? Do I supposed to be praying for this? Or is this something that is really agitating me and I need to pull away? Like the news. I don't watch the news. If it's something important, I'll get an alert on my phone, or I'm sure somebody, my mom or my aunt, they'll send a text, and keep me updated.
They watch the news.
They watching it, right? Every day. It's like, I can't. Social media, there's only I can only get on there for a certain period of time at a time, and it has to be certain periods of the day, so that I'm not consumed and drained by things that are more so draining or distracting. So those are, and it's okay to do that. If it's a person, you can be following someone on social media and you may just feel like what they're posting is just not in agreement or alignment with where you want to go or your spirit. And it's okay to unfollow them or to mute their notifications, so that you're not, having to constantly see that in your feed. You have to do what works for you and be okay with doing that.
Yeah. And even too, as far as even with that social media platform, even outside of some of the negative things, it's even some of the positive things that's out there. If you or let me rephrase that, the things that people put out there that you may think is positive, if you're not having a good day already, and you get on there and it's like, she got what, he got what, they're doing what, so you might start off like, oh, congratulations.
That comparison,
right? That's another, and it's like, well, what about me, God? Because you told me. So it's like you start off here, and it's like you slowly start coming down. Because you're not solid, as far as where you're at. So you do have to put a time limit on it. And some days it's like a no limit, where like, no, I'm not going to get on at all. Period.
Absolutely. Or automate it. You ain't got to go on, because, as a business, and when you're marketing, you're trying to, it's not so much you're bragging about you, but really you're serving individuals. They have to know how you can serve them in what capacity, right? That's just business one-on-one. And so sometimes you may have to automate it where you're not showing up, but your business is showing up for you.
That's good.
And so there's things that you have to be able to maneuver and work around so that you are still okay, right? And you have to do that inventory assessment, like that internal inventory, to say like, where am I today? How am I feeling? What season am I in? What's going on here? Just to kind of realign and, get back on track.
Absolutely.
That's good. You mentioned, business one-on-one. And so I know that you do a lot of mental health counseling, but you also do business counseling and coaching as well. So what really motivated you to start your business? And what's the name of it?
So the name of my business is Treasured Mind. And so what motivated me was being in my field. I actually have done more management, building, and reconstructing than I've done actually one-on-one therapy. I've been in management. So even in my field, at the hospital, I'm the one who cross-trained and built up the different departments for our behavioral health team. I'm the one who oversee the nurses and managers. So I've always been there, but the missing piece has been being able, one, to operate with organization so that there's no gap, so that our clients are being served in the proper capacity. So that was one that is a passion of mine, that like organization is so important, because you cannot serve and, or be a liability, because our clients, some of them are not in the right mind capacity to make decisions for themselves. The other was, a lot of our social workers and therapists are struggling to show up for their families, for their mental health, because they're working so many hours, and they're transitioning from working in a 9-to-5 into their private practice, but they're not understanding that now you are an expert as being, a clinician. But when it comes to your business, they don't have that business architect to know how to set up things that they should be incorporating, and how they can operate on a profitable platform, and how the things that they should have incorporated. And so that was another gap that I've seen. So those are the capacities that I've been serving in from that aspect.
How do you feel like the two industries cross?
Yes. So one thing I see repeated is individuals stay stuck and or experience pressures of mental health, whether it's depression and anxiety, if they are not organized, if they're not operating in the flow that they're supposed to be operating in, because now they're strained. And so if we can put a system and process for that individual, now they can operate and show up in their totality expertise. And so the business is now working for them, and they're not all over the place trying to do everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. Thank you for that.
It almost sounds like you're helping them create balance as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
especially when you said that they show up and they're doing all of this for, the people that they service, but then, the human side of you may be going down. You're showing up at work, but you're not showing up for yourself. And then you can't show up for your family and your loved ones because you're being drained at work.
Yep. And haven't even identified like what business model even work for their lifestyle. They may be operating as serving a client, one-on-one servicing of a client in this season, but they have other desires that they want to do. They just don't know how to incorporate it and make it seamlessly and work together as one. So we are able to kind of like break that down, create that organization for them, and transition it for them to make it make sense.
Okay. That sounds good.
That's good.
Yeah.
So we have like signature questions that we ask all of our guests. And so I'm going to ask you one of the signature questions. So you've seen all over social media, people, they stole it from me and Kiran. I believe that about the red flags. But, when we look at red flags when it comes to friendships, Shana, tell us, what is a deal breaker for you?
Yeah. A deal breaker for me is loyalty. Like if you're dishonest or you're disloyal, it's kind of like, because I can't trust you. It's like, I feel like that's like a core value. So it's not something personal. Like if you're disloyal to me, you're probably disloyal to others. So it's not even like, I don't take it personal. That's a character flaw that I just don't want to, because it adds a whole bunch of other little things. Like now I can't trust you. Then I got to say like, are you a liar? Are you like, it's just too. So I'm just like, no, if you disloyal, I don't want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So that's something like that can cause you to like sever in that relationship. That's good. That's good. So look, on a lighter note, so what's the indicator or a green flag to let you know that this is a true friend?
I would say the opposite would be the consistency, right? So if how you show up, and I understand like people go through things, but that's not it shouldn't change how you show up in our relationship, right? Yeah. Like if you're having a bad day, not into it, right?
Yeah.
We're having a disagreement. Like I'm not into it with my friend, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, we should be able to talk about that and be okay. And once we talk about it, or if there's a time period that we're letting cool off, if you show up in another environment or around another group of people, I shouldn't hear you talking about that you was talking about me or putting my business out there because we had a disagreement, right? So it's that consistency to show like, yes, I still value our covenant. I still value our relationship. And even though we're going through something, we'll get through it. We'll discuss it. We'll talk about it. We'll forgive one another because that's what love does. And, let's keep it moving.
Yes. That relationship is worth fighting for.
Yeah.
That's good.
If they loyal.
Yes. Yes.
I'm a full believer in, communication and seeing, I used to be all about that cancel culture. Like when it came to my friendship, Kiran could tell you, I used to be like, cut,
One thing.
I would cut you so quick, like I'm right.
Have a whole list.
Exactly.
And didn't feel no ways about it, at all. And so now, as I've matured, I've gotten older, and I realized that that's not always the best thing to do. I evaluate, is this friendship worth saving? What did they do? I mean, they didn't sleep with my man, they didn't take my money, they didn't, they didn't do some of the unforgivable things. Right. Just trying to see, like, is this friendship worth it? Should we have the conversation and sit down? So I think that, I really appreciate the answers that you gave. And I hope that our audience, you guys are listening and have enjoyed Shana as much as we have. So tell us, where can people find you if they want to book an appointment? How can they reach out to you?
So I'm DM friendly. I'm all over social media, Instagram, Facebook. They can find me under Shana Batiste. I know my name is interesting spelled, or so I'll spell it as Batteast. And so I'm medium, I can connect with you. I'm not hard to reach, it's easy.
Yes, absolutely. Shana also, she has a clothing line as well for Treasured Mind. So make sure you go out there and you support her. She has several sweatshirts, she has hoodies, she has t-shirts with different taglines on it that I'm gonna say the Lord God that God gave her, and everything, it relates to the mind, having a renewed mind and knowing that our words are powerful. So everything comes back to being
mentally motivated,
stable,
right?
Mentally stable. I love it.
Mentally motivated,
mentally motivated. Help me,
absolutely.
Shana, being mentally motivated. So make sure you all go out there and you find her. She's on Instagram, she's on Facebook, she's on Twitter. So go out there, find her, and connect with Shana. And
we'll
also
make sure that we put her social media.
Yes, absolutely. And even if you're dealing with your own issues that you may have, and you need someone to reach out and to talk to, reach out to Shana. I can vouch for her. She is trustworthy. What you share with her, it will not go anywhere else. She is a woman of God. She's gonna give you the facts. And then she's gonna give you some godly wisdom. That's what we need. Yes, it's gonna be all in one. So I do just want to thank you, Shana, for being here with us and enlightening us and helping us on today about being mentally stable and helping us to be aware of what it is that we need to do to make sure and to stay mentally stable with self-care. So ladies, gentlemen out there, make sure you take the time out every day. Whether it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is, at the top of your day or the end of your day, to get some type of self-care. It will help you in the long run.
Absolutely. Thank you all for inviting me. This has been awesome. Thank you, both of you.
You're welcome. Thank you. So you guys follow Shana. Again, we'll have her links listed below. Very, very good information. If you have any questions that you might want to ask her, you can post them below, and we will make sure that she gets them. So until next time, besties, thank you guys for watching. Bye.
Bye, besties.
Thanks for joining us today. See you next time.